Ali had never believed in the idea of love at first sight. To him, love was something that grew slowly, something that developed over time through conversations, shared moments, and trust. But everything he believed changed the day he stepped into his mother's village, a place he had visited only once as a child. He had returned now after years, hoping to breathe in quiet air, escape from the noise of the city, and find a moment of peace. He did not know that peace was going to arrive in the form of a girl he had never met before, Ayesha. Ayesha was known in the village for her softness. She was shy, kind-hearted, and always carried a sense of calm wherever she went. Her presence was gentle, like the early morning breeze that touched the fields before the sun had fully risen. She spoke little, smiled even less, but her silence had a sweetness that everyone around her felt. Every morning she walked to the old stone well with a metal pot in her hand, her dupatta pulled across her head as she moved quickly but gracefully through the narrow street. She had lived in the same village all her life, and her world was small, soft, and simple. Ali first saw her on a warm morning when he was walking toward the fields behind his uncle's house. He wasn't paying attention to the road, lost in his own thoughts, when he heard the quiet tap of metal echoing against the stone of the well. Curious, he glanced up, and his steps froze halfway. A girl stood with her back toward him, pulling water from the well with quiet strength. The wind was playing with her light-colored dupatta, making it flutter around her face. She pushed a strand of hair away, and the small movement looked so gentle, so innocent, that Ali could do nothing but stare. Then she turned, just slightly, lifting the pot to her shoulder. The light hit her face softly, revealing her shy eyes, her calm expression, her delicate movements. She didn't notice him at first, but when she did, her eyes widened for a moment before she quickly looked away and began walking home. Ali felt something strange happen inside him. Something fast, something warm, something he had never felt before. His breath caught somewhere between his lungs and his heart. A single thought passed through his mind, clear and unexpected: who is she? Ayesha walked past him without lifting her gaze again, but Ali stood rooted to the ground as though someone had tied his feet there. He watched her walk down the dusty path, her steps soft, her presence somehow comforting even from afar. And even after she disappeared into the turn of the street, Ali found himself staring at the empty road. He had seen many girls, smart, confident, fashionable, yet none had ever made him feel something so strong in just a single glance. It frightened him and fascinated him at the same time. Throughout the day, he found himself thinking about her again and again. He wondered what her name was, what she liked, whether she laughed often or kept her smiles hidden. He didn't even realize when he began walking toward the well again, hoping she might be there. But she wasn't. The well was quiet, the street empty, and Ali felt a strange disappointment he could not explain. The next morning, Ali woke up earlier than usual. He didn't try to understand why, he simply followed the silent pull in his heart. He walked out, and as he reached the lane, he saw her again, Ayesha, walking with the same metal pot in her hand. Her steps slowed for a moment when she saw him, as though she recognized him from the day before. Ali felt something spark inside him again, something he couldn't name. He gave her a small smile, but she quickly lowered her gaze and continued toward the well. Still, she hadn't walked faster. That tiny hesitation was enough to make Ali's morning brighter. He followed her, carefully, respectfully, keeping enough distance so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But Ayesha was not unaware. Her heartbeat had changed too, though she would never say it aloud. She had noticed the way he looked at her, not boldly, not rudely, but with a softness that she had never seen in a stranger's eyes. She was not used to being seen like that. It made her nervous and warm all at once. As days turned into weeks, Ali's walks toward the well became routine. He never spoke to her, never tried to disturb her. He simply walked the same path, stole a few glances, and let his heart do what it wanted. Ayesha, on the other hand, began to feel his presence before even seeing him. She would hear his steps behind her, feel his gaze lingering on her for a moment too long, and though she kept her eyes down, her heart knew he was there every morning. One day, when she lifted the heavy pot from the ground and struggled slightly, Ali instinctively stepped forward. He said softly, "Let me help you." She froze, surprised by the sudden closeness of his voice. She didn't look up. Her eyes remained fixed on the ground as she whispered, "No, I can manage." "But you don't have to," he replied gently. She hesitated, unsure if it was wrong to allow him, but his tone didn't feel demanding, it felt kind. After a moment, she let her hands loosen around the pot. Ali lifted it effortlessly and walked beside her. For the first time, they walked together silently, the air between them trembling with something new and fragile. Ayesha wanted to speak but couldn't. Ali wanted to tell her everything he had been feeling, but he didn't want to frighten her. When they reached her home, she finally lifted her eyes briefly and whispered, "Thank you." Ali felt the world shift under his feet. Her voice was soft, her gratitude sincere, and in that moment, he realized he didn't want to leave the village anytime soon. Later that evening, Ali stood under the old neem tree outside his uncle's house, thinking of her again and again. He didn't know how long he stood there until he heard footsteps approaching. When he turned, his uncle smiled knowingly and said, "You've been looking different lately. Is someone on your mind?" Ali felt his cheeks warm. He didn't answer, but his silence was enough for his uncle to understand. "If you truly feel something," his uncle said gently, "then speak with respect. Village girls are shy, but their hearts are pure." That night, Ali made up his mind. He woke the next morning with a mix of fear and determination. When he saw Ayesha walking toward the well, he felt his heartbeat quicken. He walked to her slowly, ensuring she didn't feel startled. She paused when she saw him, her fingers tightening nervously around the pot. "Ayesha," he said softly, surprising her with the sound of her name. I need to tell you something." Her breath caught in her throat. She didn't speak, but her silence encouraged him to continue. "The first day I saw you, I didn't understand what happened to me. But I know now. I liked you. I still do. More than I expected. I don't want to scare you, and I don't want anything wrong. I just wanted you to know what's in my heart." Ayesha looked down, her cheeks burning with a blush she couldn't hide. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "I felt something too, that first day. I didn't know what it was. I still don't know, but it was something." Ali's heart swelled with a joy he had only dreamed of. He didn't touch her, didn't move closer, he simply let the moment breathe between them. What Ayesha had confessed was enough to change his world. From that day forward, their connection grew slowly, quietly, like the whispering wind that passed through the fields. They didn't meet secretly, didn't rush anything. They simply allowed their hearts to learn each other's rhythm. Ali talked more, Ayesha listened. Ayesha smiled more, Ali fell deeper each day. Their love wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was soft, steady, and healing. A love that started with a glance, grew with silence, and blossomed with truth. It became the kind of love that stays with people forever, a love that began on a village path, under the morning sun, where a boy saw a shy girl by the well and fell in love before he understood what love even was. Hey everyone, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it and it would mean a lot to me. Thanks for watch.